At the edge of the prairie, just before sunset, the sky was painted in streaks of orange and crimson, casting long shadows across the tall, swaying grass. She had been walking along the worn path that led to her small cabin when something caught her eye. Movement, subtle but deliberate, a figure slumped against the earth. Her heart skipped. As she drew closer, the truth struck her like a thunderclap. It was a man, a Lakota warrior, collapsed and motionless, with an arrow buried deep in his back. He was strong, she could tell even in his vulnerable state. His chest rose and fell, slow but steady, a testament to his resilience. Blood seeped through his clothing, staining the golden grass beneath him, yet there was no sound, no cry, no groan, only the quiet wind carrying the scent of the prairie and the distant call of a lone hawk. She should have fled, leaving him to whatever fate had claimed him, but something rooted her to the spot. The intensity in his dark eyes, the fire that refused to dim, even as pain coursed through him. Summoning all the courage she had, she knelt beside him and studied the arrow, its shaft jutting cruelly from his back. Her hands shook as she gripped it, her fingers slick with sweat and a thin layer of dust from the earth. Carefully, she eased the arrow free, wincing as he flinched but did not cry. Every motion was meticulous. She couldn't afford to make a mistake. One slip, one wrong move, and she might kill him instead of saving him. Once the arrow was removed, she tore strips from her skirt to bandage the wound, pressing firmly to stem the bleeding. Her hands were trembling, but she refused to let him see her fear. She whispered soft reassurances, though she doubted he understood her words. Still, it seemed to soothe him, if only slightly. She worked through the night, her only companions the dim glow of the lantern and the occasional rustle of nocturnal creatures outside. Every sound made her heart leap, the snap of a twig, the call of an owl. But she did not stop. She tended to his injuries as best as she could, washing them with water she had heated over the stove, murmuring gentle words while brushing back the damp hair that clung to his forehead. She wrapped him in a warm blanket, letting him rest against the cushions of her cabin's only chair. Occasionally he would stir, blink slowly or shift slightly, but he never spoke, never complained. In the silence of the night, she felt an unspoken bond forming, fragile but undeniable, between the two of them. As the hours passed, she caught glimpses of the man he truly was beneath the warrior's exterior, a quiet strength, a fierce dignity, and an unwavering calm, even in the face of mortal danger. The prairie stretched endlessly outside, dark and quiet, yet inside the small cabin, a fragile sanctuary had been formed. By the time dawn approached, her hands ached, her body was weary, but he was alive, breathing steadily, and for the first time she allowed herself a small,
exhausted smile. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, and had prevailed. The first light of dawn crept across the horizon, brushing the prairie with pale gold and soft pink. Inside her cabin, she stirred from a restless sleep, the events of the night replaying in her mind. The man she had nursed through pain and near death, the Lakota warrior, was no longer there. The room was silent, save for the gentle crackle of embers in the hearth and the distant song of birds welcoming the new day. Her eyes fell to the floor, and there it was, streaks of dark, vivid war paint smeared across her doorstep. Her breath caught. She knelt to examine them, the deep reds and blacks marking a farewell she both understood and feared. Footprints led away into the rising sun, tracing the path he had taken to return to his people. Her heart thudded in her chest, a mixture of relief, longing, and grief. He had survived, yes, but now he was gone, and she was left with the echo of his presence and the memory of the night that had changed everything. She sank into the wooden chair near the window, staring out at the endless sea of golden grass, her mind replaying each detail. The arrow lodged in his back, the way he never cried out, the courage etched in every line of his face. She remembered the moments when their eyes met, silent conversations that spoke of trust, respect, and an unspoken bond. She, a woman hardened by solitude and routine, had faced fear and uncertainty and had found strength she never knew she possessed. And him, this warrior, fierce and proud, had shared a part of his life with her, however brief it had been. Time seemed suspended. The cabin felt both emptier and fuller at once. Emptier because he was gone, fuller because of the connection that had briefly bridged their worlds. She wondered how he fared, whether his people had welcomed him back, and if he carried the same memories she now cherished. She imagined him walking across the vast plains, head held high despite his injury, the early morning light glinting off his dark hair and the remnants of the battle he had endured. Her heart ached with the intensity of unspoken words and the possibilities of paths never crossed. Yet amidst the sorrow there was a quiet pride. She had saved a life. She had dared to act when fear could have frozen her, and in doing so, she had glimpsed a world larger and more dangerous, and yet more beautiful than the one she had known. As the sun climbed higher, the prairie seemed alive, whispering promises of new beginnings. Though he was gone, his presence lingered, etched into her heart and the walls of her cabin, a reminder that courage, compassion, and connection could arrive even in the most unexpected places. She rose, steadying herself, and prepared for the day, carrying with her the memory of a night neither of them would ever forget.